And now, right to your host of this House of Musicians, Barry Smith.
Hey, good evening, fine listener, and welcome to this House of Musicians radio show on Reality Radio 101. We hope you enjoy the next hour with us as we do our small part to help promote musicians, bands, and venues. Gary Labar, how are you?
I'm fine, Barry Smith. How are you?
Doing good. It's been rainy a couple of days here, but laying low and staying out of the rain.
That's right. Yeah, it's pretty, fall is here, right?
Fall's here. It's getting colder. We're wearing our sweaters. But on a positive note, I'm stoked for our guest tonight. We have Christina Martin on the show this evening.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah, I'm glad that you used the word stoked as well. I thought I was the only one. That's great.
No, there you go. Hey, Christina, how are you?
I'm stoked to be here. Thanks, Gary and Barry.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's a privilege and a pleasure.
Awesome, and the same with us. Right back at you. An absolute pleasure to have you. I've been following your videos and your music, and it certainly is really good stuff. And that's why I invited you to come on the show this evening, Christina. Let's start with when you were younger. How you were influenced by music. Were your parents musicians? Did you have an older brother with a vinyl collection? I'm just curious to how you were influenced by music and possibly what you were listening to back in when you were younger.
Well, it's going to be embarrassing perhaps, but no. No, my parents did not play an instrument. I think my father would have liked to. So he and my mother also wanted us to take my brother and I to take music lessons. So I think my first memory of learning music was when my mother took my brother and I to a rhythm class. So I probably would have been between the age of 4 and 5. And I remember thinking that was really fun. And then we went into piano lessons, and my first piano teacher, the first half of the session was like theory and rehearsing, and then the second half, she would take me into her synthesizer room, and she was in a pop band, and this was in Fredericton, New Brunswick. And so I got to, because I really just wanted to learn how to play like pop and rock and roll and have fun. And so she kind of gave me the reins to do that. And then eventually I got a new teacher when we had moved to Rothsay, New Brunswick, and I despised the lessons and the homework, and it no longer was fun, and I basically refused to continue. But at that time, I remember I do remember writing songs, but not singing or writing lyrics. It was just melodies on the piano. I had ideas, but it was all I kept it very secret. I didn't, share them with my teacher or my friends or my family. And I would sing to the radio and hear songs on the radio and try to catch the ones I loved and record them on cassette tape, and then, rehearse them again with the door closed secretly. So I think I always kind of secretly wanted to be a performer, entertainer, but I just had no clue as to how one would do that. And my father did have an extensive, he had thousands and thousands of vinyl records. So we did grow up around music and a lot of books. Oh, my dad always had a library collection and growing up. And I remember when he died, that was something he was really, before leading up to it, he knew he was going to die, and he had to sell his collection and his books, his record collection and his books. And that was really hard for him. And my brother and I were just kids, and we had no place to, to store these things. And we didn't really, appreciate them either at the time. I wasn't an aspiring musician, in my teens, really. Wasn't until I was 19 after my father died, and I moved to Austin, Texas. I quit university for a bit and I went to Austin, and that's really where things started to turn, I guess, for me musically.
Yeah, and you moved to Austin, and your bio, it says that you moved there to work as a nanny.
Yeah, I did. I got a job as an au pair. I needed to get away. I think I was really living with quite a bit of, I was depressed. And this is after my father had died, and I just needed to go anywhere. I didn't know anything about Austin, but I got a job offer, and so I went, and I discovered it was the live music capital of North America, and that's when I started going out and listening to singer-songwriters perform, mostly with just an acoustic guitar and telling their stories and their music, and paying attention to like the banter between the songs and whatnot. And it was all just captivating to me, and I just really wanted to give it a shot. So, but I actually moved after the first summer in Austin. I moved to Germany as a nanny, and I got
Wow.
it was it seemed like I constantly was trying to avoid music, but there were these, the universe was trying to send me a strong message that no, you're going to be doing this. That I met some pop producers in Germany, and I ended up recording and signing a record contract that really did not amount to anything, and I certainly never made a penny. I was singing other people's songs for a couple of months, and then I had to end up having to come back to North America, because of course the visa issue was going to come to an end, and I was completely broke. And at this point I'm 20 years old, so I moved. Instead of going back to Canada, East Coast Canada, where I grew up, I went back to Austin, and that's where I started. I had some songs written by that time. I taught myself how to play acoustic guitar, rhythm guitar, and so I started going to open mic nights almost every night of the week, and you'd find your regular open mic nights and your people. Some of them I'm still really good friends with today. Started doing that, and then gradually started doing my own shows, and then had, there were these people that were always in my corner, friends of mine who encouraged me to record my music, and just really made it clear that they wanted to see me succeed. And so I'm really grateful that I had people in my court back then, because I had no idea what I was doing.
Right, of course not. No, I like all musicians, and like all musicians as well. When you say I was completely broke, geez, that's so familiar on this show. When it comes to musicians, not all, but of course, naturally, when you first start out, most of the artists are doing it for the love of it, and they love to do it. I want to ask you about your first time on stage live. When you walked out, there's people out there. And I always ask all the artists this question: if you remember that day, the first time you went out on stage, and how you felt, what that was like.
Well, there were a couple of like firsts, or like fresh starts. I remember in high school, I actually was in, and I always forget this, but now that we're talking about it, I was in a cover band called, Head Rush, for a brief amount of time. And I remember singing at my school, a high school dance, with that band. And I mean, I was pretty nerve wracked, and I'm sure at that time I had to, sneak some alcohol, to some liquid courage, I suppose. But I'll fast forward to like, in terms of like singing my own material, like original, my first memory is at an open mic night, and, there weren't many people there. I just remember just sweating and shaking and messing it up, and sitting down and playing and starting over. And I mean, I was a wreck. I mean, but the people I met that night became long-term friends, and champions, and we championed each other. And I knew, I had nothing to lose. Like, I mean, I think I knew then that the worst thing would be, like my life is over, or the end of my life, and I have all these regrets. So I knew I had to kind of go through this process of just being absolutely horrible. And I had no idea where it would end up, but within a year and a half of, starting to do open mic nights, and then I did a show at a club called the Mercury on 6th Street in Austin. And it was a split bill with another artist. There were 2 people maybe in the audience, and the manager of the Mercury were there. And then I got a call a week later from that manager. And at this time I was wrapping up the recording for my first album, which is called Pretty Things. And he said, there's this Austin City Limits is happening, and we're doing a show here, a surprise show. And Wilco is playing, and the opener Tiff Merritt has fallen ill, and they need someone, and I want to recommend you. So are you interested?
How fortunate. Yeah, that's fortunate. That's great.
I had no idea who Wilco was. I said, let me call you back. I asked my producer at the time, Darwin Smith, who this band was, like, is this something I should do? And he flipped out and he was like, please let me be your guitar tech or something. And I said, they want me just by myself, like acoustic guitar, no support. And I had maybe 3 songs that were half decent, maybe, and I'd written a couple others. So I tried them out that night. I walked out. Glenn, the drummer, who was new at the time with Wilco, he was sitting with me in the stairwell out back, and we were just chatting, and he let me play my song. I was so nervous. He let me play a new song for him, and he was so kind. And I walked out on stage eventually, and to this jam-packed club, and wow. The audience was so magical. They were so attentive and caring about, whatever they had to say. Like most audiences, I think, if there's a band like Wilco that is about to come on, they don't give, they don't care about an opener, but they were super kind to me. And I think I remember just being honest with them and just being like, this is like super terrifying for me, y'all. Like, please bear with me. And it was exhilarating. I think I was hooked. Like, I think I remember that entire, experience and feeling like there was a connection and a conversation between me and the audience. And I wanted it again. I wanted to do that thing again. And I think, there are a lot of moments in my career that I can remember that I was going to quit. I was going to stop. I was going to, because, you think I need to make money. I need to survive. And like, I don't know how to do this with music. And there was always something that happened, like another opportunity that came that gave me the idea that I should, I guess, keep, going with my music. And yeah, so that was a pretty big moment for me.
Good for you. Or you can refer back to that time when you were on stage opening for Wilco. Like you said, the crowd was so appeasing when a lot of times, like you say, when you go to see the headliner, sometimes the audience is booing the opening act, so it's absolutely amazing that they were so respectful in that aspect when you were opening for Wilco. But so did you nail it? Were you ready? I bet you practiced like crazy when they suggested that you do the opening, be the opening act.
I don't know if I really don't know if I nailed it. But I don't know. I don't know. I definitely practiced.
But they were your own songs, right?
They were my own songs. And I think even then, and I'm still like this today, I always felt I got to do better. Like, I need more songs. I need, I've got a long ways to go. And I didn't think I nailed it. I just had a great time. And the whole experience was like a buzz, like this magical, like it was like a super high. I'd also just been kicked out of a band, like a local super group. And I remember one of the band members, it was also particularly hurtful to me because the leaders of the band hadn't told me that I was going to be kicked out. I sort of found out from the other backup singer, dancer. And it was really hurtful because it was this sort of weird progression of they tried to kick her out and then she stayed in the band and they had told me I was rock and roll and it was the kind of thing that I always wanted to do, be in a rock and roll band and sing and dance and just supporting. Like, I didn't need to be the lead. I just wanted to have fun. And I had just been kicked out, and that was a bummer. And then I noticed outside that one of the band members was trying to get in to the show, and they saw me and they knew that I was opening. And not that I wanted to rub it in their face, but I just remember this weird, like, oh, this is awkward and this is weird. But I remember thinking, you know what? I've got my own stuff. Like, I can do this somehow.
Yep.
Like, I don't, I also learned then that it was good to really focus on, you know, your stuff. Like, if, I mean, as long as I would have been in that band, I would not have focused on my own material. I had other, you know, I had jobs and I was busy. So it was kind of a good omen, I suppose, to be kicked out, and just to focus on my own stuff.
Positive attitude to look at it that way. There's nothing better than, you know, doing it for yourself and writing your own songs and singing them for people and having your own albums. There's just nothing better. It's great to be in a band as well. If there's a lead singer and you're the drummer or you're the piano player or you may not be contributing as much as far as songwriting and stuff goes. So it's always wonderful to be your own solo project and you're doing your own solo stuff. You launched
myself.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Nope. Go ahead, Christina. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, I think it's, you know, there have been times in my career too that people have said, well, maybe you want to consider, you know, because I perform and tour quite a bit with my husband because I can't afford the band all the time. And of course, my husband has just really been a huge influence on me and my music, and he's produced my albums, and then we've co-produced my albums as well since my second release, you know. So of course he's huge impact and my biggest supporter. And people, you know, at times have suggested, why don't you start a band with Dale, or why don't you call it something that's not you? And I've thought so much about it, you know, but they are my songs, and oftentimes it's my story, and it's my opportunity to share my voice. And I think that's really important if that's how you feel, you know. I've also been in bands, and it's great to make music with your friends. But I think for me, and just because I'm who I am, it does work well to be a solo, you know, to present myself that way, my branding. And I do a lot. I mean, I do what a small label would do for myself. And it's a lot of work, but no one else is really doing it. Yeah. And then, yeah.
And how awesome is it to have a partner that's totally into and supporting what you're doing, but also involved? Because there's a lot of musicians that go out and play, they go on the road, and their partners aren't there, you know, with them because they're not involved. So that's pretty darn cool to have a partner that's involved.
Yeah, I really lucked out, and I really like him. Like I really, really, really do.
Yeah, I really like him. That's good. That's a good thing.
my relationship is the thing I'm the most proud of in my life. Having a healthy relationship, because I never thought it was, you know, possible. I didn't really see that as growing up in our household, and I just thought I'm going to be on my own forever, and that's fine. But yeah, no, it's really magical, and I mean, I think Dale's a really special person, and he's an incredible talent. I mean, you want to surround yourself with people who I think, you know, push you to want to be the best version of yourself. Maybe that's just a cliche to say that, but. And I think we do that for each other. I
don't know. He's critical, right? He's also critical, so he's not afraid to say, "Hey, wait a second, maybe you should change this line in this song, or maybe we should add this instrument." And
whoa! He never tells me to change a line in a song, but
okay, yeah, I might have went a little too far there.
No. I think we both have learned. I mean, we've only been together for like 10 years now, but it's, and I feel like we're stronger right now than we were, you know, in the beginning and in the middle. It's, and we don't know where we'll end up, right? We're both very open and honest about that. It's great now, but you know, we'll see in a year. No, but
It'll grow
Yeah,
stronger.
yeah. I think we both identify, like we know our strengths, so what we bring to the relationship, and I mean, I'm a stickler for honesty, even if it's brutal. So he knows that, and yeah, and but you gotta, you also don't want to be always. Sometimes you need to let people figure things out for themselves, and I think he does that he allows me that space to do that, and I'm probably slower at like I'm more of somebody who likes to be maybe in control or to see stuff happen like sooner than later, and he's at a different pace sometimes,
Yeah, we're men.
But I've learned,
we take longer to get around to cutting the grass.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I mean, I need to slow down. I do too much, and it's my own. I see him, and I really look up to him because he's so calm, and I think it's healthier, to. I create a lot of stress for myself sometimes, and I know that's not healthy. So yeah, no, I wish I could be more like Dale sometimes.
Yeah, sure. Laid back. That's also a good feature to have in a relationship too. Is if he's laid back and you're always on the go or a little stressed, then you can balance each other out a little bit by that, and you can reflect off of the way he is a bit and take some of that in as well. But let's do this, Christina. We're going to play 2 of your songs tonight. I want to play a song right now so everybody can hear Christina Martin and a song called Stay With Me. This is a single from 2021. I'm sorry, no, we're going to play It'll Be All Right. I have my songs mixed up here backwards.
That's okay.
So sorry about that. Yeah, I want to play Stay With Me as well, but that's your latest project that you've just come out with in 2021. So let's go back a bit to 2015, I believe, and we'll play a song for the folks out there called It'll Be All Right. From an album called It'll Be All Right, correct?
Sure, yeah.
Awesome. Let's do that. We'll come back and talk about it. Folks, I have Christina Martin on tonight's program, and we're going to hear her song, It'll Be All Right, from her album, It'll Be All Right, self-titled track from 2015. We're going to hear it right now on this House of Musicians radio show on Reality Radio 101.
Smoke with you. I don't even drink, but when drink it feels good. Everything was done by the book for love. Throw it all away in a floating moment. All this hold you've got on me, and let myself perceive I'm no longer here in charge. You convince me it'll be alright. Asleep and ignore. I I think you know I'll be back for more. Don't you turn me down tonight. We don't have many other nights. We love to walk, fall asleep and ignore. I think you know I'll be back for more. Oh, oh, oh. I think you know, I think you know. Oh, oh, oh. I think you know, I think you know. All this hold you've got on me, I have let myself see. I'm no longer here in charge. You convince me it'll be alright. All this hold you've got on me, I have let myself recede. I'm no longer here in charge. You convince me it'll be alright. It'll be alright. It'll be alright. It'll be alright. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh.
Hey, welcome back to the show, folks. I have Christina Martin on the show this evening, and we just heard It'll Be All Right from her album 2015. It was released. Christina, high energy song. Tell me how you came about writing that song.
I have no recollection of writing that song, but I know I wrote it. Yeah, I actually don't remember, that happens with a lot of my songs, so I don't necessarily remember exactly where I was with some of them. I think I remember mostly about this song and that album. There was like a conscious decision that was just kind of a build up to, I better like take this more seriously. Like I need to put more into this entire package of what I do. If I want to, if I want to real sound great with a band, I want a great sounding band. If I want to be the kind of performer that I look up to, like these iconic bands and singer-songwriters, like I just have a lot more work to do. And so I kind of worked my butt off and took a lot of risks, like financially. And I just didn't have a lot of spare time. And Dale Murray as well, my partner, we just got to work really talking about initially what kind of album we wanted to make with It'll Be All Right. And then for me, when I start writing a song, it's not just about, the song. I start seeing what is it going to look like on stage? I start having ideas for music videos, even if we don't end up doing them. And I start thinking about like, how can we make connections with people, with this music? So I'm a very visual person as well. And I start thinking about the artwork and the photography. And that was all kind of something that was starting to just be really important to me around 2013, 14. And it just took me time to really figure it out for myself. Like how do I want to look and sound on stage? Like what exactly, am I going for? And then also to find my own voice in the studio and to have the courage to say, this is what I want. Kind of stepping into more of a leadership role instead of letting, the musicians decide what's going to happen all the time. Certainly my songs are influenced by the musicians who play on them, but I think needed to, not, sometimes you go into the studio and early on, certainly I would be nervous, because I felt like a hack musician, telling somebody else or asking them, for something. And that had to change. That changed with It'll Be All Right. And I started trying to do things that terrified me, but that I knew it was necessary for me to go through to get to the other side and become a better entertainer, to be a better businesswoman, to be a better singer, and to be a better songwriter. I started editing my songs quite a bit more with the It'll Be All Right album. And so everything I put in, all the hours and the blood, sweat, and tears, and the touring and everything that I did back then helped me become, who I am today. And so I'm glad I had the energy then because I'm older now. I still work hard, but it just sometimes I look back and I go like, how did we do all those tour dates? How did I I went from working with zero budgets basically to managing like thousands and thousands of dollars and investment money from the province and Factor Canada, and doing it all on my own, managing my team, building a team internationally. And I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. But then I also learned that a lot of the times the people that I paid a lot of money to didn't know what they were doing either, or dropped the ball. And it was so infuriating, because I always believed that, man, if you've got any ounce of, money, you got to make it count every single time, because you just never know when you're going to see that money again, especially in the music industry. Right. And, and so it really, really bothered me when I would work with people that proposed that they were amazing at this or that, and they could do this or that for me. And then they would, people talk about how, especially women being controlling or wanting to have control. No, we're happy to give over control when the job is done well and right, and with the right people. And that's exactly, what my team is like now today. Like, I've managed to find people, and I won't rehire people unless they're linchpins. And I can trust them, and I can give up some control. But, I also learned that someone has to steer the ship, like always. And I had to, pull up my big girl panties many times, even still, and make decisions and be confident and be okay, and know that this could be a mistake, but I have to make the call and be okay with, figuring that out. And, so yeah, but It'll Be All Right is the song itself. When I sing it now, I mean, I think it's about having no idea how things are going to work out, but being, sort of that you're either convinced by somebody, if you make this decision, it's going to be awesome, but having no idea. So it's about faith and just following a path with heart and doing the best you can.
Absolutely. And isn't it just amazing to think about when you first went on stage with an acoustic, restarting the song on a mic night, and messing up, and how far, and all the stuff you're saying now, how many years of experience you gather up, and if you only, we all say, if we only knew that with the first day we stepped on stage with a guitar, how far you would progress. But look how far you've come. It's absolutely amazing.
It's so interesting, because even though I know I do have all this experience, and there are some things I do well, and I'm certainly more confident on stage, and I love it. But I still come at a lot of things I'm doing with a beginner's attitude. I'm trying things now today with my new album, with this single that we put out, Stay With Me, that I've never done before, that terrify me. And I know, though, I was here, many times before, and I know that when I come, to the other side, it's like I've learned so much, and the connections that you make, and so it's like, it is short-term pains for long-term, gains. I believe in that, and but I have to constantly remind myself of this. Like, Barry, this isn't like I'm super confident all the time, and I know I've come a long ways. I know that there's some things I'm doing better and stronger, and hopefully I'm a better singer-songwriter. But I always feel like I can't let my guard down. Like, I have so much work to do.
Absolutely. And, you can't, you're always learning something new all the time. If anything, the confidence comes possibly by entertaining people. You can become really confident at that, and still be a bit nervous maybe from time to time, but I think you overcome that as the years go on. It gets easier as far as coming out on stage and playing live and whatnot. But I want to ask you about an album you did in 2008. This is pretty special. The album was called Two Hearts. It says, I'm reading here that it says it was in the drama series, the song "You Come Home." Sorry, let me get my brain together here.
No, it's okay.
You had a single out, "You Come Home," featured on a teen drama series, The Best Years. I mean, that's quite an achievement. How did that all come to be?
Well, so there was this interesting thing that happened that I had no idea would have been possible with my first album, Pretty Things. When I moved back to Halifax, somebody had picked up my album at Sam the Record Man. It was a local music supervisor, what you call them. And these are the people that are hired and paid money to find the music for television and film. And somebody picked up a CD and many others locally and picked two of my songs and contacted me directly via email. And I had no idea about this world of placing songs in television and film. And they placed two of my songs from the Pretty Things album. And then I started seeing, royalty checks and they paid me, they paid me for the sync license, and it was good money. It was more money than I could have ever imagined that I was making from whatever job I was making. And I was just, I like money. I was like, okay, I took it as a sign that this is cool, and but then, I was going to quit music again, and through a series of the universe slapping me across the face again, I ended up not, instead, giving it my all, and met Dale Murray, who produced that second album, Two Hearts, and then I started at that time. I made a conscious decision. I'm transitioning to doing music 100% full time. I was inspired by other female singer-songwriters from the East Coast, like Jill Barber, Megan Smith, Rose Cousins, Jen Grant, who, I just saw them making a go at it. And I thought, well, I maybe I could do that too. And was making more money, after I made the conscious decision, was making more money doing shows and house concerts, which is something that I started doing in Texas. And I would just ask people at shows, if you want to do a house concert here, and I'd let them know, here's how you do it. And then I would do it. And it really helped me out financially. And I built lasting, fans and connections with people that way. And so I started going to all the music conferences. I said yes to every conference thing, education, offering that was available to me. And Music Nova Scotia and ECMA's, East Coast Music Awards Association, they were incredible, leaders, I think, in Canada, and really educating artists on how to be trained in the business side of things. And I soaked everything up. And the network, the Atlantic Film Festival had a program, and that program involved, pairing artists with music video producers. And then I would get gigs at the film festival and showcase for music supervisors. This was back in around 2007, 8, 9. And that is how I met, music supervisors initially. And I developed a friendship with one of them, Michael Perlmutter, and he placed that song, You Come Home, that one specifically. And sometimes, these things, you build these relationships and you don't, see anything on the business side, or you don't expect anything. And it happens, 5 years later. I've seen that happen. Or you meet someone in passing and you don't even remember maybe, but they saw your show and they reach out to you later. So I think music conferences like ECMAs and Music Nova Scotia they've had, been quite valuable for myself, and I know other artists, and building our careers. But you really, as an artist, have to be on the ball and organized and be open to networking. And I never came at any of that with really a super business attitude. Like for me, first it was, let's see if I can make some friends. Let's see, I just need to be myself, put on the best show, and focus on that, and take it seriously, but have fun. And that's when I think the business relationships and things like music placements can happen if your music is meant for that. Like if the music supervisor sees the right song for the right moment in a film or a TV series. There's certainly a lot of opportunities now today, more than ever now, with the streaming services and all the TV shows and films being produced for song placements.
Absolutely. And again, it's amazing when we all start out as young musicians that we would never dream that there's so much involvement in the music industry with people's original music. What can happen, like you say, the connections you can have, and the next thing the last thing you're ever going to think about when you're young and you have a band or you're doing your solo act, the last thing you think about is that your song will ever be in a show. So, I mean, it's amazing how many avenues are out there. That's for sure. Let me say that Two Hearts earned a 2009 ECMA for Pop Recording of the Year and two 2008 Music Nova Scotia awards. And that's good for you. That's amazing. Also, it says here that you did a performance for Queen Elizabeth II.
Oh, that was a gig at Parliament Hill for Canada Day back in, I think, 2009. And wow. I had done a showcase in Toronto, and a promoter came out and saw my band play, and then contacted me about doing that event. And so I was part of a production of Canadian artists that performed. Queen Elizabeth was on stage, and growing up, like, my family was kind of obsessed with the royal family, so that was like very appealing to me and kind of funny at the same time. And it was interesting because they did not really prepare us because we all shook her hand, or she shook ours, I guess is the way it really works. But there was no prep. Like, I didn't know if I was supposed to curtsy, which I guess you are. I mean, my boots were dirty. I had no idea. Do I say anything, or do I wait till she speaks to you? And so kind of got all this intel like after the fact, and I feel like I blew it, but I'm sure she doesn't remember or care. But yeah, it was an honor, really, a privilege and a pleasure at the time, especially. I thought I had, my grandma would be proud now, kind of moment. And I got to perform one of my songs in the evening performance, but the Queen had left by then. But that's okay. It was still quite a good, great audience.
Yeah, well, hey, that's still amazing. And you've done the collaboration with Greg Keeler from Blue Rodeo, rendering of Andrew Six Subject to Change. That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, Greg's a sweetheart. He knows my husband and was in town with Blue Rodeo performing. We went to that concert, and Greg and Jim invited us to a concert at the Carlton in Halifax, and just an acoustic one with those two. And afterwards, we were sitting out back, and we were recording my album. I actually, in my mind, really would have loved for Greg to sing on that song. And I talked about it with Dale, but we did not have the guts to ask Greg if he would come in. So when I was talking to Greg, I'd met him a couple of times backstage at the Horseshoe Lounge in Toronto, and he was always so nice to me. And I think, Dale's a huge fan of his. And Greg, we were chatting, and he's like, what are you up to? I said, we're making my album right now. And he's like, I want to be on it. Wow. Then I was like, well, actually, Greg, there is this one song, and if you have a baritone guitar, you can meet us tomorrow. And so he came in with Wayne Petty from Cuff the Duke, and laid down a vocal and played baritone guitar on Andrew Sisk's song. And Andrew is one of my favorite singer-songwriters, and he's a dear friend of mine. And the song, I had no idea at the time, was actually written inspired by the poetry of Alden Nolan, who was born in a great Canadian poet, born in Nova Scotia. And Andrew and Greg, I sent a book of poetry by Alden to Greg with the vinyl for that this song was on, and it turns out he's a fan of Alden as well. And so it's interesting, art inspiring art. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and what a great career! I mean, that's just amazing that you've done that as well. I want to play a song off your latest album, "Stay With Me." Obviously, this was done during COVID times. You probably weren't playing live at the time, and we're being creative and created this album in 2021. It was released. This is a single that you did called "Stay With Me." I'd love to play it for everyone and come back and talk about it.
Yeah, I would love that as well.
Awesome. Right on, Christina. Let's do that, folks. I have Christina Martin on tonight's program, and we are going to listen to her song, "Stay With Me," from 2021, right here on this House of Musicians radio show on Reality Radio 101.
I'm giving you all, and it's all that I've got. Stay with me, stay with me. I'm keeping busy, 'cause it makes me feel young and wanted. Stay with me. I'm older and wiser, don't let that be bad. Stay with me now. I can't make all these things he's done go away. Stay with me, stay with me. All the things we've destroyed, nothing's really changed. Surrounded by poison and plastic, there's nothing left to just pretend you don't see love.
back, folks. I have Christina Martin on this evening's episode, and we just heard her song "Stay With Me." Christina, I must say that your experience over the years of being a musician really shows in the chord progressions in that song. They're so unnatural, but they fit so good together. Tell me about the song.
Okay, thanks. First of all, when it comes to chord progressions and writing, the music in particular, I really am going by feel. Like, I don't understand why things work. I've tried. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing. So it's whatever is happening now. It's because I've just over the years just tried things and they sound or feel good to me. But I just feel like I write by feel and my ear. And when I'm writing a song and a song like this, I'm not the entire song. I mean, I think this one I did have to, it was kind of like putting together a puzzle for parts of it. But then there are other parts that come quite, it's like just instinct. I feel like it should go that way. I hear a line or a melody. I may not have all the lyrics, I actually had to poach an old song for a part I was missing in the sort of what I call the second bridge before the last verse, which I'm sure people call a chorus. Like, here, you can tell I don't know what I'm doing here, but I didn't know how to make this transition back to the verse or chorus or whatever it is, and so I poached another song, and a song that never got recorded, wasn't being performed. It just wasn't a strong song, but there was always I do hang on to these nuggets or these old songs because there's something in it, there's a moment in it or a progression that I love or a lyric, and I know I might be able to use it someday. I don't know when. So part of this song came quite quickly. I actually heard the melody for the chorus verse in a dream, and it was like I was watching a music video in a dark kind of haunting music video, and I woke up and started working on the song and then did the best I could, got it to a point, put it away. I put a lot of things away for a long time and then come back to them, and then kind of pieced it together until it felt right. And this was written before the pandemic, which kind of strikes me and other people, I think, because I mentioned wearing masks, and I think it just speaks to my own kind of the dichotomy of the world I live in, whereas half the time I'm worried or anxious about something, and on tour, I was always worried about getting sick. So I started wearing masks when I was flying, and being kind of vigilant about, washing my hands, and I'd wear gloves. And I sound like super paranoid, but it is really hard to not get a cold that can then, devastate your lungs for a tour. And so I took it, I've always taken it quite seriously, but only after getting really sick on the road. And I just, wasn't sure about so many things, as I still have many days and weeks where I'm just not sure and I'm worried. But then there's the other side of me that's confident and optimistic, and I don't give up. I'm resilient and I keep going. And this is my life. I'm terrified, I'm worried, and then I'm super positive and I don't stop trying. And I think it's because I think I'm that kind of a person because, of losing my father and seeing death at a young age, and losing people that I loved. And it's always this reminder of like, what have you got to be afraid of? Like, even if you are going to be afraid, just keep trying. Do what you want to do. Try it out if you can. Don't give up. Because, man, like, you only have this one life, try to do good, try to be the best you, up until your last breath, whenever that may be, kind of thing. So I think in the song Stay With Me, you can probably hear the two voices, like the confident, positive, the stay with me, it's going to be fine. And then the one that's like really terrified, and nervous and scared and anxious, fearful.
Yeah, and you couldn't have said it any better. I agree with what you said. The one thing that I have learned over the years and was able to grasp it and kind of hang on to it is I realized at a younger age that when I was worrying or anxious is maybe a little bit different than worrying. Anxious is kind of okay because you're eager to get something done. But as far as worrying or being I guess worrying is worrying. I find that things always, and my wife and I say this all the time, things always turn out in the end. They always turn out good in the end.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing that I could say, that might help a little bit at all is that, there's just absolutely no need to worry because things always usually end up good in the end, and worrying doesn't change anything. It doesn't help anything. But, hey, the way you are is the beautiful music that you're making. So good for you. I want to ask you one more question. That is my favorite question I love to ask artists on this show, Christina, and that is, tell me a crazy story that's happened to you on stage or on a tour bus or in another country. I know you've toured Europe, and I know you're going back on tour to Europe. I think you said you had 30 shows lined up, and that's fabulous to be going out of country to tour. Good for you. But maybe, tell me something crazy. I know it's putting you on the spot a little bit. Something crazy that's happened to you.
I was just going to go back to when I went to first year. I was a freshman at university. So this was before I was writing my own songs. So I'm actually, I don't know if I'm, cheating here. But I already told you the Wilco story. That was wild. And then my band opened for the Killers in 2019 before the pandemic hit. And that was really great. But really, I want to go back to like my childhood crush, Bryan Adams. I went to a concert with my roommate at SMU in Halifax. And we were both so excited to find out we were closeted Bryan Adams fans at that time. And at that time, it wasn't cool. And I think it should be cool now. I was at a concert of his recently in Summerside, PEI. And I mean, it was just awesome. It was incredible. And in any case, went to this concert. We were in the seventh. We had tickets in the seventh row, and I had friends that managed to get us up to the front. And then halfway through the concert, Bryan was inviting audience members up on stage. He was putting together a little pseudo band, and he had picked everybody except the singer. And when he said, all we need now is a singer, I threw up my arm. I mean, I don't even know if I did it or the universe did it. And everyone around me pointed at me, and he saw me and pulled me up on stage, and he put his arm around me, and he said, what's your name? And I said, Christina. And he said, well, what do you want to sing tonight? And he had very recently, it was quite public knowledge that he'd forgotten the words to the national anthem at a hockey game. And I think he got a lot of slack for it. So I said in front of I don't know how many people fit in the Metro Center in Halifax, like 12,000 people. I said, well, Bryan, why don't we sing the national anthem? That was a winner. And then he said, okay, come on now. What do you really want to sing?
Let me stop you right there. What did he do? What was his face?
I think he was impressed. But he was also, he was also like, screw you. Yeah, but I think he appreciated it. I hope. I think it was worth it. And then
that's so clever.
Well, I don't have too many clever moments, but that was it was as an entertainer now, I look back at that moment and that dig, and it's definitely kind of become one of the things that I love about performing live is those magical, spontaneous moments, because half the time I don't know what I'm going to do or say. In any case, we did Summer '69. And it was just incredible. And it was my photo was in the paper the next day, right on the cover. And it was, that was, I guess, another moment where I was like addicted to this idea of like maybe being on stage and being in that position where you could impact so many people with the power of, music and words, and I wanted to be able to do that.
Yeah, and so many the younger generation growing up as well, and so many young girls that you inspire that you probably don't even realize or know about. I mean, I know you inspire young musicians, females and males growing up, to see the power of you being on stage and taking control and doing such a good show and whatnot. So that's always enlightening too, to know that you're inspiring younger people to move forward and progress with their careers and never give up. So that's an amazing thing as well. So congratulations on an amazing career you've had. I just got an email from Doug Robertson from the band Roller Coaster, and he says to me, she's a very smart lady with a great set of pipes. Once again, excellent show, bud. So that's from Doug
sweet.
Robertson.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, and
Cool.
and I agree with them 100%. There's a segment of the show. Gary Labar, our producer here, is also a very talented musician and has been successful in the music industry as well. But there's a segment of the show I like to do called, "Well, Gary, what do you think?"
Wow, what do I think? First of all, I want to know if Christina is the heir to Martin guitars.
I think I am, yes.
Okay.
No, that would be great, though. I do play a Martin small body triple O 15S, or is it triple O S15? But it's a slotted headstock, and I've been playing it. It's my second guitar. I've been playing it since 2003, and it's really my main acoustic. But no,
No, too bad. We thought we'd have it in, Barry and I, to get some discounts. But anyways.
or free guitars. Guitars.
Yeah. They're
free guitars, haven't come across those. Although I am endorsed by the Duesenberg Guitars electric guitar company in Hanover, and we love our electrics. I have quite a few Duesenbergs, and so does Dale, including a lap steel, and it's just, well, these are, if you don't know about them, check them out. Duesenberg. .de, I believe, is their website. These are sexy guitars, folks.
Wow, check them out. I haven't heard of them.
Sounds fantastic. Your intro. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Carry on, Gary.
Your intro to "It Will Be All Right." You know what it reminded me of right away was "Chop Suey" by System of a Down. I heard that guitar riff. I don't know if you're familiar with that song or that band.
No, but I'll check it.
Yeah, it almost sounds like wow. But I love the bass guitar in that, the rhythm pedal toning of the bass. It had a flavor of like U2. It's a really nice type of pedal toning rhythm stuff, and I really, really enjoyed.
Gary, let me cut you off right there, because when I first listened to Christina's song, I sent her an email back and said something about the bass in that song as well. It's incredible.
So that's
Carry
Jason,
on, Gary. I'm sorry.
No, Gary and Barry, that's Jason Vautour. He's been playing with me since, I think, the early 2000s, and he's my go-to in the studio and on stage, and he is phenomenal. He's so versatile. He can play anything, but he comes with fantastic ideas, and he really works on the sounds, the tones, and he knows that, like, I like things to be like not super clean, and like I like things to be a little weird and edgy, and he's so he just listens to so many kinds of music. He's a teacher as well, teaches guitar and I believe bass, but mainly guitar. But I started using him as a bass player years ago, and he's also a really, really important friend of ours and a special human being. So Jason Vautour, and Dale's brother Brian played drums on that album, and we all rehearsed and workshopped the songs weeks before we recorded, and it was like a whole lengthy process that I'd never done before, and it was so worth it. And so what you're hearing is like us really coming together finally and gelling, and Dale's parts, are just, they're so hooky and clever and unique, and everyone just really brought it, for the making of that record. And then it was the first time I took a band on the road in Europe for a month, and we just had a ball. I just work with such talented music. They're so much more talented than me, really. Like, it makes me like I have to catch up with them. I have to schedule so many rehearsals because they're that good, and I am a bit of a hack. I still believe sometimes. So.
Well, I like that because I like the. Sorry, Bear. I like the sound of it, but I just like the pedal toning that carries a rhythm, and I also like some of the guitar work in that. It's got an '80s guitar distortion sound where to be an oxymoron, a clean distortion. It's really nice. The tone is there. You can hear every string on the guitar. So I liked it. Hats off to you. Good luck with your career.
Thanks. I need it.
Okay.
and you know what? Not only that, the songwriting's amazing, Christina. Your vocals are tantalizing, and I have so much other stuff I wanted to talk to you about. So I would love to invite you back, follow your progress, and invite you back in a year or two back on the show, because I want everybody. I want everybody out there to check out Christina's video, Take Me Back in a Dream. It's just incredible. The choreography, the vocals, just the song is just incredible. So I wanted to talk to you about that. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We've gone past our time, and that's okay. I don't mind spending a little more time talking to the artists. It was absolutely incredible to have you on the show. We're honored, and like I say, we're going to follow your progress and get you back on in a year or two and see how far. I know you're going on a European tour, so we'll have a lot to talk about. Christina, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you so much, Gary and Barry. Yeah, love to come back. Thanks.
You're absolutely welcome, and good luck, and keep on rocking. Absolutely.
Thanks.
And to the listener, I say thank you. And to the listener, I say thank you for being here. Always dance and sing, and let the music bring your soul to the surface for all the world to see. Until next time, have a shuffle your feet kind of week, and good night. You've been listening to This House of Musicians on Reality Radio 101.